So, the climax of Hero of Ages caused some pretty epic eye-rolling from my astrophysicist buddy as we were reading it together. Keep watching to find out why. I loved the first Mistborn trilogy by Brandon Sanderson. It was so exciting, and the main character Vin even had an animal companion, well, sort of. But that made me so happy. Note that Mistborn is written for adults, but young adults who can handle violence and gore might enjoy it too. So, about the science. Reading fantasy and science fiction with an astrophysicist can be really educational. The particular plot point where she gave me that big eye roll happened right at the climax of an amazing sequence of cataclysmic world-changing events, but thankfully she waited until after we finished it before she started explaining why everything's wrong scientifically. Well, hopefully you've all finished reading The Hero of Ages by Brandon Sanderson and got to enjoy that breathtaking ending, because now I'm going to spoil it for you. The ending of Hero of Ages answers a lot of mysteries about the world, such as the origin of the Ash Mounts. It was revealed that when the Lord Ruler had godlike powers, he moved the planet closer to the sun, and that messed everything up, as you can imagine. Well, Sazed, when he took the powers, was able to move the planet back to its original orbit. How did he know where to put it? Well, let me read you the description. From the Nelazon, the keepers had recovered star charts and had dutifully recorded them, even though scholars had called them useless since they hadn't been accurate since the days before the Ascension. Yet, from these star charts and from the patterns and movements of the other planets in the solar system they outlined, Sazed could determine exactly where the world was supposed to sit in orbit. So, what happened? Why were the star charts inaccurate? Is it because the planet changed orbits? Well, I just learned that the star maps should have looked exactly the same before and after the orbit change. Why is that? Well, we'll have to understand the concept of parallax in order to see why. When you're riding along a road with trees and mountains in the background, enjoying the scenery, the trees close by to the road look like they're moving by really fast, and the distant mountains look like they're moving by really slow. Well, that apparent motion of foreground and background things is called parallax. Closer things have a big parallax, meaning they look like they move a lot and move fast. Farther things have small parallax, meaning they look like they hardly move at all. So it just so happens that the Earth is moving around the sun, and as we're going around, the view of the stars also moves like the trees and mountains. Check out this amazing clip of the stars' movements taken from the Gaia satellite. Notice how the stars are moving in circles. That's because the Earth is moving in circles around the sun. The stars that move in bigger circles are closer to us, like the trees in the other clip, and the stars that move in tiny circles are farther away, like the mountain. But the motions of the stars in this clip have been exaggerated to be 100,000 times bigger than they really are so that we can see them clearly in this video. That's because the stars are so far away that their apparent motions are way too small for the human eye to see, or for a bear's eyes to see for that matter. You need a really sensitive camera with really tiny pixels to see this motion, and you have to be above the atmosphere because a tiny bit of air movement will blur the stars. In fact, the stars are so far away that even if you move the Earth to Pluto's orbit, we would still see exactly the same constellations, like, the Big Dipper, Orion, the Southern Cross, and all those other constellations, which I don't actually know the names of, but I know that my human buddy knows them. Anyway, so you'd have to move the Earth's orbit by several light years away from the sun before you'd see any difference in the constellations, and then we wouldn't be in orbit around the sun anymore. So, if the cosmere is anything like our Milky Way galaxy, then the star maps of the Nelazon people most certainly wouldn't have been useless, and they would have been just as accurate to the human eye as they were before the Lord Ruler ascended. Okay then, what about the positions of the planets? Sazed could have used their positions, but only if the planets were close enough to the original orbit of the planet of Mistborn, the planet called Scadrial. So for example, there's a really cool free app that you can download called Stellarium. It shows you the view of the sky from anywhere in the solar system in case you happen to want to push your planet to somewhere else. So anyways, I just checked the position of some of the other planets from the viewpoint of Mars. Jupiter's position is noticeably different compared to the view from Earth. But, Saturn, which is farther away, moved only a tiny bit. Anyway, Sazed could have used the nearby planets to work out the position of Scadrial if the Nelazan people made a star map showing the positions of the planets on the exact day of Sazed's ascension 1,000 years in the future. Which, I'm not so sure. Is that likely? Or if they had a star map showing the exact positions of the planets in their day with the date on it, they could have provided the formulas for predicting the positions of the planets in the future. So, what do you think? Is this plausible? I don't know. Let me know what you think in the comments. So there you have it. There may have been a few holes in the premise of moving a planet using ancient astronomy. But it's a fantasy book, so maybe magic makes everything better? But anyway, it was so much fun to learn something about astronomy while reading a fantasy story. I hope you had fun too. Bye!